Hi there! As a BL fan who is always looking for the best stories, I enjoy taking a closer look at the world of BL and analyzing it according to certain subjects. In each video, I take on a subject in an informative and hopefully entertaining way, and express my thoughts with the help of a co-narrator. Helping me narrate this video is... from The Untamed. Together we bring you... To My Shore and Redemption. I've been meaning to make a video about the drama To My Shore for weeks. There's a lot I would like to say about it if I had people's everlasting attention, but I'll keep to what's most important so the video doesn't end up too long. Spoiler warning, I will go into a little bit of detail in regards to some plot points, so if you don't want any spoilers, you should check out the drama before watching this. And a trigger warning, I will show snippets of scenes of the main characters having emotional breakdowns. Before I get into the story and the characters of To My Shore, I just want to briefly say that I think this drama is very beautifully shot. They must have put a lot of thought into not just the clothes and the locations, but also the lighting and the framing of the scenes. There are these amazing frames, like this one. Or this one, which at first view took my breath away. Just look at how this scene is lit. Then there's the way the camera underscores what's happening by the way it focuses or unfocuses, or moves in a specific way that gives an additional layer to what's happening. I also noticed some great scene transitions, like this one. Just overall some great cinematography. I'm not a professional editor, I just have experience editing these videos for my channel. So these are amateur findings, but I really wanted to point them out because we don't get this in most other BL dramas. Most other BL dramas look fine, with clean visuals and sets that are well put together. But To My Shore stands out because it isn't just pleasing to look at, there is some serious artistry behind it. The drama is rather long and a lot happens, so my summary might be a bit long, but I do want to mention the most important plot points. Fan Xiao is the son of a rich business owner whose family always rejected him, except for his mother, whom he lost in a tsunami as a boy. All this has warped his worldview and led to destructive behaviors, both towards himself and to others. Shulang is the director of a pharmaceutical company, with hardly any familial ties left in the world, who has persevered through many hardships in life. Shulang causes a minor car accident, which Fan Xiao secretly takes revenge for. They meet again in the hospital, where they end up saving a baby in a dangerous situation, which leads to Fan Xiao seeing Shulang differently. This basically sets off a chain of events, where Fan Xiao tries to get closer to Shulang by doing some more, some less shady stuff, and using emotional situations to manipulate Shulang into empathizing with him. Shulang sees through some of the crap and stands up for himself a couple of times. He does end up falling for Fan Xiao, though. When he later learns about all the shady stuff that Fan Xiao did earlier, he tries to get away from Fan Xiao. He is unwilling to let him go, though, and starts another campaign of moves to keep Shulang under his control. Shulang clearly goes through a lot of emotional suffering throughout all of this, while Fan Xiao's mental health struggles keep resurfacing and contributing to their disconnect. And their relationship, and relationship should probably be in quotes at this point, ends in a very dramatic fashion. They separate and don't see each other for over a year until they meet again in a different country. In that time, Shulang rebuilt his life and chose to return to his studies. Fan Xiao's life drastically changed, as he and his family had to face the consequences of some criminal activity in their business. He spent the least amount of time in prison of all of them, but now no longer has the cushion of a rich family. Youshulang initially doesn't want much to do with him. Certainly not romantically, but because he hasn't been able to let go of his feelings for Fan Xiao, and does see a serious change in him away from the controlling, scheming past, he ends up giving him another chance. So, first of all, I love Youshulang as a character. I just really like characters who embody the best qualities of a human. He is warm, kind, and thoughtful. He isn't just logically smart, but also emotionally very intelligent. At the same time, he's very strong-willed. He stands up for himself and for others. The phrase, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness," fits him perfectly. Fan Xiao calls him his bodhisattva, which is an overglorification because Youshulang also isn't afraid to get his hands dirty when his sense of justice drives him to it. Fan Xiao, on the other hand, is for most of the drama the classic cold, manipulative, scheming, and sometimes controlling counterpart. It's sometimes sociopathic, and both of them occasionally call him a madman. All of this is already set up pretty much in the first couple of episodes. This would usually cause me to shake my head and want to move on from the drama before completing it. I hate seeing wonderful characters going through bad situations because of the person who supposedly loves them, and Fan Xiao really puts Youshulang through a lot. But I did stick around this time because I had a little bit of hope for this drama. You see, whenever I consume a BL story where one character does a number of damaging acts to the person he claims to love, like sexual assault or emotional violence like threatening and coercing, the question arises for me. Why do these stories exist? Why is so much drama necessary? And why does the drama have to be so emotionally destructive to the loved one? Now, there's the possible reason that some people might just like stories where a lot of drama happens, just for the sake of seeing a lot of drama. But I'm going to set that aside for now because that's not true for me, and I can't give any perspective on that. Otherwise, though, there is another more compelling reason that I can get behind for creating these kinds of stories. As I put for the title of this video, the question of a character's potential redemption surfaces on this topic for me. Can somebody who has done these really harmful acts, who is labeled a madman even, or a demon, find a way to redeem themselves for what they've done and change their ways for the better? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thinks about this. From what I can see in the various examples of this kind of storyline, the narrative of the story usually does attempt to give the destructive character some kind of redemption for what he has done. These attempts are more or less successful, and I also should say, quite subjective to the viewer's perception. I personally can be very critical, and I don't just accept any and every act that is supposed to make up for past behavior. For example, and this is probably a hot take, but almost dying for one's loved one is kind of an easy way out for me, and doesn't really qualify. Either way, if they survive or die, they wouldn't have to take accountability for what they've done. Doing these grand gestures that evoke strong emotions like empathy and fear of losing a person appear once again manipulative to me rather than redemptive. For me, redemption must include some kind of accountability, which means acknowledging to oneself and to the affected person that what you've done is bad, and possibly apologizing in some way, even if only non-verbally. Most so-called redemptions for destructive characters don't have that at all, which is very frustrating for me. And I've said this before in my previous video, Toxic Characters and Storylines in Asian BL, stories will include the backstory of the destructive character, which is marked by traumatic and abusive experiences. This is often framed as a way to excuse the bad behavior they display, when it really should only serve as an explanation. This is equally as frustrating for me, because I just can't accept these excuses for things like sexual assault or other intentional bodily harm. As I said earlier though, I had some hope for To My Shore, because I got the sense that this drama was different from the others. And while I had to wait quite a while, and suffer through some almost headache-inducing episodes, I do consider my hope and my expectations to be mostly satisfied. In any case, Fan Xiao did face some actual consequences for the things he had done, and it clearly changed a lot about him. And you know, even if a lot of crap goes down that makes me groan and facepalm myself while watching, I do end up appreciating a story that shows consequences and growth for a destructive character. It's only then that these drama-heavy stories get a purpose for me. Refreshingly, the differences between him before their big separation and after are clearly noticeable. It's not just in the way he's dressed and how his hair has changed. In general, his entire demeanor and the expression in his eyes went from being aloof and scheming to being warm and more approachable. Before, he used to live in a villa that was cold and never looked particularly homey. He had a right-hand man and people to drive him around, but he didn't appear particularly free. In this new chapter, he no longer has family wealth to fund a luxurious lifestyle. He now works 2 jobs, for one of which he serves other people, and lives off of comparably little. But rather than becoming bitter at losing all that, he appears more emotionally stable, in fact. Some old habits do die hard, like his need for revenge for certain things, and he does try to get close to Yoshulang again, with some disregard for the other man's protests. But he actually says out loud that he saw Yoshulang's previous suffering, and he does, in effect, give up on getting him back, choosing to accept that Yoshulang might never be his again. And considering everything he said and did before to keep Yoshulang under his control, that is huge. What stands out to me about this story is that there are 2 things that Fan Xiao gives up towards the end. It's very significant to me that Fan Xiao gives up his rich lifestyle, which had afforded him not only exclusive comforts, but also power in the form of monetary manipulation and access. I also say this as an appreciation to the creatives who chose this outcome for the story. In most other stories featuring questionable characters in positions of power, these characters don't, or only temporarily lose this power and wealthy lifestyle. Seeing as they're rich, these characters can be dressed well and put in luxurious settings that are pleasant to look at in a drama. I might even go as far as to say that in some cases, them being rich becomes their main quality to make them likable to the viewers, which just appears hollow to me. Taking them out of this exclusive lifestyle and giving them an ordinary appearance is clearly not in many creators' interests, which I think is a big shame, and I applaud those who have the courage to actually do it. The other thing Fan Xiao gives up is Yoshulang. Even though it does end up working out for him in the end, and Yoshulang returns to him anyway, Fan Xiao has multiple moments where he walks away from situations where he used to act selfishly to get what he wants. He clearly learned some self-reflection and how to deal with his emotions better, including how to restrain the destructively selfish impulses. And what's very important here is that his motivation to let go is that he acknowledges that he caused Yoshulang pain, and that respecting his wishes is more important than getting what he wants. So finally, he's putting Yoshulang first, and not himself. It takes him a very long time to see this, and old habits die hard, but he does arrive at a point where he no longer has to control the situation and the relationship. And it saddens me to say this, but I have hardly seen other BL dramas show this. I didn't just stay with the drama for the possibility of redemption for Fan Xiao and for the great cinematography, though. I was also very impressed with how they depicted Fan Xiao's mental and emotional struggles, and how very explicit and unrelenting they were about showing You Shulang's sometimes outwardly expressive, sometimes quiet suffering. I myself have never experienced anything like what these men go through in the emotionally and mentally intense scenes, but the way the scenes were shot and edited painted a very impactful picture of what they were going through and made me anxious for both of them as I watched. The production team showed a lot of courage to include some very emotionally raw scenes that you just have to power through. Especially characters in semi-roles are usually not shown in these emotionally vulnerable situations, so it really stayed with me. Another thing that the drama gets right is about overcoming one's inner demons. It contains the message that the first person to benefit from it, the one to benefit the most, is oneself. Of course you can have the motivation to do what's right for others, but ultimately you're helping yourself by becoming a better you for others. I can even illustrate this by using a bit of the ending scene of the drama as a metaphor. You Shulang shows up at Fan Xiao's storage unit to talk. When Fan Xiao realizes that You Shulang is going to spend some time there, he quickly cleans the surfaces of where he assumes You Shulang is going to sit. You Shulang doesn't actually sit down there, and instead takes the bed. Fan Xiao then sits where he just cleaned. Now, if that chair and table were a metaphor for his mental state, and the life that results from it, you can see that he made the effort to clean it, because he recognized that it was not in a state to let somebody stay there. He did it for somebody else, but in the end, he was the one to benefit from it. The way I see it, that was the moment where he truly overcame his demons. In conclusion, I could accept all the bad things happening in this drama because the ending didn't just gloss over You Shulang's suffering and found a conclusion where Fan Xiao showed some accountability. I can't watch these kinds of dramas too often though, the emotional turmoil gets to me too much. And any other dramas that don't show any signs of a proper redemption for the destructive character, I will probably skip. In this video, I haven't brought up much by way of criticism towards this drama. That's because the points that I talked about were most important to me, and most of the criticism I have is very inconsequential in comparison. The one serious issue I have with To My Shore is something I would rather talk about in its own video. It doesn't make my appreciation for the drama any less, and I decided the great parts of To My Shore are more important at this moment. Stay tuned if you're curious about this issue, as it will probably be the topic of my next video. Thank you for watching! Comment your thoughts below, and subscribe if you liked it. Take care!